Welcome to this explainer. Okay, we've got a seriously fascinating journey ahead of us today. We're going to tackle one of the biggest, most frustrating paradoxes in modern business and tech. We're talking about moving beyond just building these mathematically beautiful, highly accurate predictive models and shifting our entire focus to designing actual business systems, systems that deliver measurable action and real return on investment. And hey, whether you're brand new to the world of data, a working professional trying to get your projects off the ground, or a senior leader making those high-stakes strategic decisions, stick around because there is a crucial layer here designed specifically for you. So let's kick things off with the big picture. Here's a question that honestly stumps a lot of beginners and veterans alike. Why do beautifully designed, highly accurate predictive models constantly fail to make any money? Think about it. Imagine a team of brilliant data scientists spending months building a tool that perfectly predicts customer behavior. It scores a 95% accuracy rate. Everyone pops the champagne, right? But then, 6 months down the line, the business hasn't made a single extra dollar from it. Why? Well, because a perfect, highly technical prediction that just sits completely unused on a hard drive is, practically speaking, worthless. And this perfectly captures a massive divide we see all the time in the corporate world. Convincing versus delivering. The convincing phase, that happens in the pitch room. This is where you sell the dream. You whip up some slick pitch decks, you show the massive potential ROI, and you get leadership to eagerly sign off. Honestly, convincing has actually become relatively easy these days because everybody knows AI and data are super powerful. But then comes the delivering phase. This is the rigorous, often messy reality where a system actually has to be implemented, handed off to an operations team, and utilized daily by regular end users. That exact translation from the pitch room to the build room is where most projects just completely fall apart. To put it in plain, everyday language, think about it like this. A perfect weather forecast is entirely useless if it doesn't result in you actually taking an umbrella. It literally doesn't matter if a supercomputer tracked every single cloud in the sky with 100% accuracy. If that data doesn't prompt a human action, like grabbing the umbrella before you walk out the door, the prediction failed its ultimate purpose. In the business world, predicting that a customer is going to cancel their subscription is totally meaningless if the company doesn't execute a workflow to try and save that customer. Which brings us right into what we call the prediction trap. It's this false assumption that an accurate mathematical model automatically equates to a solved business problem. In the highly technical world, teams get absolutely obsessed with scores like AUC or F1, metrics that prove, yes, the math is right. But an impressive technical score absolutely does not equal business success. If the actual decision-making process isn't automated, or if the marketing team just flat out refuses to use the new tool because it's clunky and doesn't integrate into their daily software, well, the model is trapped. So, the crucial takeaway here is perfectly captured in this quote. Don't fall in love with the solution, fall in love with the problem. We see it all the time. Teams get so distracted by flashy new tech. They'll say, oh, we absolutely need to use a large language model, even when they don't actually have any text data, just because it's the trendy thing to do. Instead, professionals really need to obsess over the business friction itself. Let's transition now and go a bit deeper into how working professionals can actually bridge this gap between a raw model and a daily business reality. All right, moving to our next section, the framework. Bridging model and workflow. This is where we shift gears for the intermediate learners out there, the product managers, the data scientists, and the operators trying to make these tools actually function in the real world. So how do we do it? There are 3 essential steps to take that raw model and turn it into a living, breathing, applied workflow. First up, identify the friction point. Let's use a generic e-commerce discount scenario. The business wants more people to buy, but they're bleeding money by giving discounts to absolutely everyone. The real friction is figuring out who actually needs the discount. Second, predict the incrementality. We don't just want to know who is going to buy. We want to know who will buy only if we give them a nudge. And third, integrate into the user workflow. Listen, if the marketing team has to manually download a CSV file, upload it to another system, and reformat the whole thing just to send an email, they just won't do it. The model's output must automatically appear in the software they already use, requiring nothing more than clicking a send button. Now look at how this actually breaks down customer behavior. It's fascinating. Imagine you're managing a marketing budget. 40% of your customers are in the will buy anyway segment. 25% are in the won't buy regardless segment. And 35% are sitting right there in the needs a nudge segment. If you just blast out a 10% discount to everyone, you are literally throwing away your profit margin on that 40% who are totally happy to pay full price anyway. And you're wasting marketing spend on the 25% who are never going to buy no matter what. The entire goal here is to laser target that 35% right in the middle. And this whole concept is the exact difference between a base prediction and uplift modeling. A base prediction simply asks, will this customer buy? That's okay, but uplift modeling asks a much, much more powerful question. What is the specific incremental change in this customer's behavior only if they receive an intervention from us? Uplift modeling helps you isolate the true impact of your business action so you make sure you aren't spending resources nudging people who honestly don't need it. But here's the catch. How do you actually prove to the business that this works? You absolutely must use A/B testing. You set up a control group. That's your standard business as usual campaign. Then you run your AI model test group right alongside it. You measure the conversion rate and revenue for both. Why is this absolute proof so completely necessary? Because let's face it, things change. If you just deploy your fancy new model to everyone and revenue goes up, maybe it was just a holiday weekend. Maybe a competitor randomly raised their prices. An A/B test is the only scientific way to isolate your model's real impact from external market factors and definitively prove your ROI to leadership. All right, let's level up again. The bigger idea, systems and architectural thinking. We are getting into the advanced layer now. This is for the strategic leaders. We need to completely stop viewing AI and model deployment as a simple tech handoff. It's not just about writing code. It is a fundamental architectural shift in how a business operates. So, a truly mature system architecture requires a few absolutely crucial components. First, co-creation with business operations from day one. Engineering and ops have to sit at the same table to define what's actually feasible. Second, seamless tool integration, which we touched on earlier. Third, defining fallibility limits. Let's be real, your model's going to be wrong sometimes. You have to define right up front what level of error the business can tolerate. That directly leads to the fourth point, human-in-the-loop review. For high-stakes decisions, like blocking a seller on an e-commerce platform for alleged fraud, when the model is unsure, it must route to a human expert. And finally, clear appears mechanisms. I want you to really think deeply about this specific scenario for a second. If an automated model blocks a legitimate user and there's zero appeals process, did the model fail or did the architecture fail? The answer is the architecture. Models are probabilistic, right? They deal in likelihoods, not absolute certainties. False positives are totally inevitable. So if you're building a high-stakes system that impacts real revenue or customer trust, the system is only as robust as the human fail-safes and operational workflows you build around it. A lack of an appeals process, that's a catastrophic failure of system design, not just a math error. So how do strategic leaders actually decide what's worth building in-house? It comes down to this massive number right here, 5x. In highly mature tech environments, if a proposed project or predictive model is not projected to deliver at least a 5 times return on the investment of engineering resources and compute costs, it simply does not get prioritized. It just falls below the line. This huge ROI multiplier is a strict benchmark. If it's just some generic internal tool with low ROI, you buy it off the shelf. You only invest in building complex proprietary systems when they directly impact your customer experience and promise that 5x strategic value. Which brings us to our final overarching takeaway today. A predictive model is only as valuable as the human action it inspires and the business decision it automates. Whether you're a beginner just learning the ropes, an intermediate professional building out the actual workflows, or an advanced leader designing the whole architecture, this is the mindset shift you absolutely must make today. We have to stop falling in love with just the math and start obsessing over the action. So take a hard look at the models running your business right now. Are they actually driving measurable action, or are they just expensive, highly accurate math experiments waiting around for a purpose?